In 1999, while the world was watching Wimbledon and World Cups, India was watching its borders bleed. 16,000 feet, minus 20 degrees Celsius, no air, no mercy. This was Kargil. May of 99, high up in Kargil, something was already off. The mountains were quiet. Somewhere near Batalik, a shepherd named Tashi Namgyal spotted something strange. Shadows and bunkers that shouldn't be there. And he raised the alarm. There was no official war, no tanks rolling in, just betrayal hiding cowardly in the snow. This is not just another war story. This is the story of how Indian heroes didn't just fight for the territory, but for the pride and people of India. For every inch of ice, we paid in blood. India and Pakistan, neighbors divided by history, politics, and a long-standing conflict over Kashmir. After three wars, 1947, 65, and 71, and countless tensions, both nations eventually became nuclear powers by the year 1998. Then came February 1999, a moment of hope. Indian PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee crossed the border on a bus to Lahore, extending a hand of peace to the then Pakistani PM Nawaz Sharif by signing the Lahore Declaration, aimed to improve relations between the two countries. It was big, it was symbolic, and it looked promising as well. But behind these smiles, something darker was already moving. Pakistan's army, led by General Pervez Musharraf, had a different plan. While peace talks made headlines, their troops were crossing the line of control. Pakistan launched Operation Badr, a secret, silent invasion disguised as insurgency. They aimed to seize Indian army posts left vacant during winter. From those heights, they would place snipers, spotters, and cut off National Highway 1, India's only road to Ladakh and Siachen. It was a direct violation of the Lahore spirit. It was war hiding in the snow. They assumed no one would notice, that India would wake up too late. But they were wrong. On May 3, 1999, when Mr. Tashi Namgyal, the shepherd, noticed something strange near Batalik, he informed the army. The army sent a patrol to investigate. What followed changed everything. The patrol walked straight into a trap ambushed by enemy soldiers armed with automatic rifles and mortars. These weren't just local militants. These were trained Pakistani soldiers disguised as Mujahideen, and they were already inside the Indian territory. And their locations weren't random. Dras, Tuksar, Batalik, Mushko, all carefully chosen for one critical reason: National Highway 1. If Pakistan gained control over that particular stretch, Ladakh and Siachen would be cut off from India. India didn't waste time. Within days, the army launched Operation Vijay. But this wasn't a normal battlefield. This was war at 16,000 feet, steep cliffs, thin air, temperatures that would freeze blood. The challenge wasn't just the enemy. The mountains were just as deadly. Over 2 lakh troops were mobilized. Reinforcements poured in from across the country. Units including the 2 Rajputana Rifles, 18 Grenadiers, 13 JK Rifles, Naga Regiment, Sikh Regiment, and Gorkha Rifles were deployed sector-wise. Each got a mountain, each mountain was a mission. The army faced a triple threat: enemy fire from above, lack of oxygen, and unpredictable weather. Every post the enemy held was at a higher altitude. That meant Indian soldiers had to climb while under fire. Support came from the ground. Bofors FH-77B howitzers, the same guns from the 1987 Bofors scandal, now India's most reliable weapon in the mountains. High-angle shelling crushed bunkers that infantry couldn't even see. Our soldiers moved at night, crawled for hours, and dug into snow to avoid detection. Every inch gained cost blood, but turning back wasn't an option. May 26, 1999, for the first time since 1971, the Indian Air Force was called into active combat. Operation Sagar was launched to support troops in what had now become a vertical war. But there was a catch. The Indian Air Force wasn't allowed to cross the line of control. Every target had to be hit with surgical precision from Indian airspace at altitudes over 16,000 feet. The game changer, the Mirage 2000, equipped with laser-guided bombs and built for high-altitude warfare. Enemy bunkers buried deep in rock, out of artillery range, were now being destroyed from the air. But the skies came at a cost. Squadron leader Ajay Ahuja's MiG-21 was shot down. He ejected safely but was captured and brutally killed in Pakistani custody. His death shook the nation. Flight Lieutenant Chiketa was also shot down during a dogfight. He was captured and returned after days in enemy hands. His survival lit a spark across the country. The message was clear. The Air Force was not just in the fight, it was turning the tide. In every war, some places become legends. In Kargil, victory was earned one peak at a time. Each name now echoes in history. Tololing Ridge, the first breakthrough. It overlooked NH1. Losing it meant losing access to Ladakh. 18 grenadiers fought through freezing nights. On June 13th, they took it back. India's first major win. Point 5140, known as the Gun Hill. Just days after Tololing, this peak was captured on 20th June by the 13 JK rifles. Leading from the front was Captain Vikram Batra. His success signal, Ye Dil Mange More. It wasn't just a phrase, it was a promise. More courage, more sacrifice. Tiger Hill, the most iconic peak, towering at over 16,700 feet. It gave the enemy a 360-degree view of NH1. For 4 days, battles continued on vertical cliffs. Indian troops used mountaineering ropes and climbed overnight. On July 4th, Tiger Hill was ours. Point 4875, Batra Top, Mushko Valley. Fierce hand-to-hand combat. Captain Batra went back to rescue a fellow soldier. He never returned. He was just 24. His bravery there made this point to be known as Batra Top forever. Point 5353, technically the highest point in the Dras sector, still under Pakistani control due to LOC ambiguity. These weren't just the peaks, they were death traps, and yet Indian soldiers didn't stop. They climbed, they fought, they took it back inch by inch. By mid-June, India had enough evidence. Weapons with Pakistani markings, captured prisoners, intercepted radio chatter. India took the proof global. Diplomats, media and embassies got the message. This wasn't an insurgency. This was a cross-border military operation by Pakistan's regular army. The G8 nations condemned the aggression. China chose neutrality. But the real pressure came from the United States. On July 4th, Pakistani PM Nawaz Sharif rushed to Washington. Former President Bill Clinton insisted on withdrawal by Pakistan without any conditions or negotiations. Cornered diplomatically and militarily, Pakistan began withdrawing by mid-July. By July 26, the war was officially over. July 26, 1999, Kargil was ours again. Every strategic height from Tololing to Tiger Hill reclaimed. Operation Vijay had achieved what many thought was impossible without crossing the line of control. The Srinagar to Leh highway was secured. The supply lines to Siachen and Ladakh were back under full Indian control. No war is won without its warriors. Kargil had many, young, fearless and relentless. Here are a few names that every Indian must remember. Captain Vikram Batra, Lieutenant Manoj Pandey, Grenadier Yogendra Singh Yadav, Rifleman Sanjay Kumar and many others. Officers, JCOs, Jawans from every regiment, every state, every religion, united not just by uniform but by the fire in their hearts. In Dras, the second coldest inhabited place on earth, stands a monument that warms every Indian heart, the Kargil War Memorial, built at the base of the very peaks our soldiers reclaimed. Kargil changed everything. It exposed gaps, from intel coordination to equipment to mountain warfare readiness. But it also lit a fire. Since 1999, India has ramped up satellite surveillance, built stronger border infrastructure and enhanced high-altitude warfare training. Special forces now operate with cutting-edge gear and coordination between the Army, Air Force and intelligence agencies has been tighter than ever. But most of all, Kargil taught us that patriotism isn't noise. It's sacrifice. It's grit at 18,000 feet when your lungs give up, but your will doesn't. And that spirit lives on. At the LOC, in every family that sends their child to serve, in every Indian who remembers and never forgets. Kargil isn't just a chapter in history, it's our story of pride, courage and victory. Jai Hind.